I think the whole Resident Evil franchise is very much film-oriented. It's a funny question because I'm awful at playing video games. Yuki, that was one of the harder characters to play. Like, I worked on Avatar, Way of the Water. They literally sent us a Bible of the Na'vi language.
You're watching convention coverage.
So what have you been up to?
I'm bleaching.
Bleaching.
I'm bleaching. Yeah, we're back. I mean, obviously I haven't recorded much because the first season Rukia was not as present. But she's coming. She's on her way. So I'm just waiting patiently by the phone.
Waiting for that call.
Waiting for the call. Yeah, that's what I've been doing with my days.
Just
sitting by the phone, waiting for the call.
Well, work is work, so you gotta take it where you can, right?
Yes. I mean, I've been doing some video game stuff, all of which are NDA. You know how that goes. I know. Nothing new to report other than what I've already been involved in, and the other things that I'm involved in, I can't say. One thing I can talk about that am working on is an original animation that I directed, and I'm in actually, as well as Johnny Young Bosch, Steve Bloom, John Eric Bentley. I don't know if anybody knows him. It's called Aurora. It's this guy out of Kentucky, Ray Kaufman. He did his own graphic novel and manga, and he's been at it for like 10 years. And like 5 years ago, he decided he wanted to make it into an original animated show. So he's got 13 episodes written. We just recorded the pilot of was probably, I'm trying to think, it was the end of last year,
Okay.
like October, November. So he brought me on to direct it, and it's going to be good.
Is this something that he's just been doing on his own? Like, no...
He's animated, like he's literally a one-man show. He's doing everything by himself. It's crazy. But his style of animation is kind of a throwback to like 90s, they call it like the sweet spot of animation back in the 90s. It doesn't look like what we're seeing now. Like that's the CG, 3D or 2D CG. It's very old school, vintage looking. It's really cool.
That's my era of anime right
Yeah.
there. Old Guyver, 80 Police, Angel Cop.
Yes, and the style of it is very much like a mix of anime with original
That's
animation.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aurora.
Aurora.
Aura.
I have to watch out for that.
Keep your eye open for that.
You've been in a lot of stuff. Has anyone ever recognized your voice or what you look like, just like out in the open, out in the wild?
Not usually. What'll happen is I'll give them my voice or my name, and it happens a lot like over the phone, like with customer service people. It happened at the airport actually on our way to Florida. This guy, they pulled anytime I go through security, they pull my bag because I bring all of my prints and stuff in my bag. And it's like stacks, it just looks like stacks of paper and nobody ever knows what it is. So, or like the clamps that I use to hold up my banner, So inevitably, they pull my bag aside. So of course, it got pulled aside, and this guy, he opens up my bag, and he starts like pulling out, the markers, and the square reader, and the prints, and he opens the file, and he starts like thumbing through like this file folder with all of my character prints, and he looks, And he looks over, and he's like, you're Michelle Ruff. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh my God, are you on your way to a convention? I'm like, yes. So he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He puts everything back, he's trying to shove everything back in the case, and he closes it up. And so we gave him a trading card that I had signed. And I saw him afterwards. He was like showing his coworkers the trading card. So that was kind of funny. So, I mean, generally I'm pretty incognito, but occasionally I will, someone will go, hey, are you? Or I like your work. Or, I'll be online with the customer service. Hi, this is Michelle Ruff, blah, blah, blah. Oh, what can I help you with? And then 3 messages later, I love your work, by the way. So.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great convention.
Thank you.
One of my favorite characters you played was Miss Kawakami from
Yes.
Persona 5.
Yes.
And given your amazing track record, I just had to wonder, have you ever found yourself actually being that burned out like her from the character throughout all that?
Not with work. Work for me is play, so I generally don't get tired of it. I do get tired of everyday stuff, like putting my laundry away, doing the dishes.
Voice actors are real people too.
Yes. I'm do I have to clean too? Can't I just go record and be 12 years old in my head all day long?
I'm glad you was able to find something that you enjoy that much where you never get burned out on it.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
It's one of my favorite characters ever, Jill Valentine.
Yes.
How was voicing her, and how was it different from voicing characters in anime?
Definitely. Yeah. I think the whole Resident Evil franchise is very much film oriented. So the acting style was very much that too, film style, very buttoned up, I remember Stephanie Shea directed. Her and Liam O'Brien, they would kind of tag team. And I would give a read, she wanted it very monotone, very no emotion. So I would do it her way, and then I'd be like, can I give you an alt? And she'd be like, sure, but I liked what you just did. And I'd be like, let me just give you an alt. So I'd give her an alt, and she's like, nope. Too much emotion. I'm like, darn it. But it was fun. It was fun, because I got to see a lot of the stuff I was recording. The mocap actor had I was following along the action with the mocap actor on a TV screen, it hadn't been animated yet. So it was pretty cool, to be a part of that whole process before she was actually animated.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good, nice to see you.
My favorite roles is Luna from Sailor Moon. I rewatch everything from the and rewatched the second movie.
Well,
My question is, were you surprised Luna turned into a human? Well, I was surprised every time I watched that second movie. I would say, okay.
Yeah, I'm glad she had the opportunity to turn into a human. I'm not surprised, because I knew, playing her, I know that was one of her things that she wanted to experience. It was sad, because it's, the whole premise of it was that she falls in love and she realizes that she'll never have that kind of love because she's not human.
Yes.
So, yes, I wasn't surprised, but I appreciated that, her whole transformation.
Yeah. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you ever study accents, like different regional accents, and if so, how?
I will study an accent for a particular role, or if I'm being back to the whole looping thing. Sometimes we have to fake a language, not do a fake language, but learn a few words of a language or a couple phrases. So I will spend, a few hours like the day before or a couple days before learning the language. Like I worked on Avatar, Way of the Water, and they literally sent us a Bible of the Na'vi language that we had to, we didn't have to learn it, but we had to become familiar with the dialect and the pronunciations of the words before we showed up to stage. Because what happens is sessions move very quickly. So you don't have time to say, oh, wait a minute, I have to get the dialect, or I have to, let me figure out, the language. You have it in front of you and you just go for it, which is another reason why improv always is helpful. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So my question was, I'm sure you watch most of the shows that you voice, at least a little bit, because you want to see your work, right? But would you say that you like to play the video games you voice too?
It's a funny question because I'm awful at playing video games. I'm terrible. I would like to, actually. It's on my list of to-do things, learn how to play video games. Because everybody who comes to the line, not everybody, but a lot of people love the video games that I'm in. And I've never played Persona. I've never played Persona 5, which is so wildly popular. And I feel like, oh, maybe I'm kind of missing out. Maybe I need to just check it out and see.
Well, it's a fun game. I don't think it's probably as hard to pick up and play as, some of video games would be.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, some thought that has to go into it.
Yeah. I remember when I did Jill Valentine for Revelations, there's this company in LA, they asked me to come into studio. They said, okay, this is when live streaming was first becoming a thing. They said, we want to live stream you playing Jill in Resident Evil, in Revelations, your character. So you're going to be playing your character in the game live. And I was like, really? I've never ever done that. I don't even know how the toggle works or anything. And they were like, it's fine. It'll be entertaining. And I was like, okay, just so you guys know. So I went in and I just got annihilated, of course. I think I got killed the first zombie, the easy zombie. I died right away. So it was pretty entertaining.
Well, thank you for the insight. That's it's very interesting. I never really thought about that. You know, so thank you.
Thank you. Good question.
What was the most satisfying or fun role that you shot or voiced?
That's an interesting question because, I love all of the characters that I've played, with the exception of maybe one or two, which I thought were just because of the way maybe the show is written or whatever. But, I could tell you, the show Erased. I don't know if anybody has seen Erased. I play young Satoru in that. And I loved it. There were only 12 episodes, and I thought, oh gosh, I wish there was more. Or I wish there was another season. There could be a whole other, I don't know what it would be, but there could be a whole other, plot or a new storyline, and bring the kid, bring them back and do it all again. But we didn't get that. We only got the 12 episodes.
Sure, but that was a lot of fun for you?
Yeah, that was good. It wasn't even that it was fun. It was just different, very different in relation to a lot of the shows, a lot of the animes that are out now, or even then. I think we recorded that maybe 7 or 8 years ago. But just the context of it and that it is so different. It's like a thriller, like a mystery thriller, rather than your normal harem anime or Gundam or You know what I mean? Sniper ensemble.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good question.
If you could reprise any of your roles, like if a series you were in got a sequel or a video game collab or a new movie or something, what would that?
What would it be?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I can answer your question a little bit differently on this. Like, I wished I could do another Jill Valentine. I wished I could do another Resident Evil. But they switch, they jump around. Like, I got 2 games. It's like everybody gets 2 or 3 games and then they move on to somebody new. So it would be fun to play her again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You only got 2 games as Jill?
I did 2, yeah, Revelations and Raccoon City.
Did they give you? Yeah, because I remember talking to you about Raccoon City. Did they give you the previous game's actor to kind of base it on, or they're just like?
They did not. They did not. They wanted a new Jill. So even though she remained in the same vein-ish as the Jill before me, they just wanted something different. So I was not allowed to listen to the other actor.
Not allowed to.
Yeah. They were like, please don't listen to her because we don't want you to get her performance in your head because we want something different.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not good or bad. They just were moving in a different direction.
Has there been any point in your career like that you've been asked to dub another actor, like a celebrity or
Voice match?
match?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That happens a lot. And I actually have been in situations where like negotiations would go wrong with an actor and the casting goes out in all, of LA and you come in and you audition. But like in the beginning when I didn't really know how that all worked, I would not really ask questions. But now, like I know so many of the girls that I'm auditioning with, I'll ask. Like I ask questions now. I'm like, well, what happened to the girl who was doing it previously? Like, did she bow out gracefully and say, I'm not interested anymore? Was it a contract negotiation issue? Was she let go? Like, what are the circumstances surrounding the voice match? So, and if the circumstances are not favorable for the actress or actor, I will not do it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, just out of respect, for my colleagues, because it's not cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then celebrity stuff, yes, I do get auditions for celebrity voice matching, and I have done some stuff. In all the Superman movies that Amy Adams was in, I was a really good match for her. So I would do her temp and some breath work and stuff efforts because I was right in her range. And there's been a few other people. I used to do all of the voice matching for, I don't know if anybody watched Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do a bunch of the voice match efforts for a couple of the characters for that show.
Mm-hmm.
And Batwoman, which was not a very good show.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. That's why it's not on the air anymore.
Well, and you lose your main actor to on-set problems in a
Yeah,
season.
yeah, yes.
So I know you were talking about how you didn't like being fed lines by like directors, but I always like assumed that with like dubs and stuff, you still had to go in like a certain direction.
You do.
So I wanted to know, was there ever anything where you felt like you had a lot of creative liberty behind the character?
It's interesting because all of my, like the bigger shows, my evergreen shows, I call them, I feel like the directors give me a lot of creative liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'll use Sinon from Sword Art as an example because Alex von David, who has directed that, he's one of the best directors I've ever worked with because he's very collaborative. So when you have a collaborative director and a collaborative producer, you're working together to come up with like the best read possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it's that situation, that's for me the best because, Alex might have an idea, but he'll let me do it my way.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, oh, wow, I really like that. That's not what I had in my head, but I like it better than what I had in my head.
Yeah.
So rather than saying, I want to hear it this way, he'll let me do it first. And then if he doesn't like it, he'll say, okay, I was thinking more this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I can piggyback on that, has there been a time where you've been able to like use your full-blown just improv skills and they just let you do your own thing? And
Well, I was doing this show for a while called Enchantimals. It's a original animation from Mattel, and I was playing like 9 different animal besties, they're called. And what it is they would literally give me a script in English of like words, like whatever the animal bestie was saying, but the animal bestie doesn't speak English. The animal bestie speaks like baby gibberish in a character voice. So that would be like literally probably most recently the most use of improv that I've done in a while. I mean, I improvise on stage for looping like nonstop, but that was like, because we're on the fly again. It's like time is money, so you got to be quick, and so the line would be, "This seating is for question line." And that would be the line, right? And it'd be like, okay, so say that line as, I played this character, Flick Fox. So it would be,
oh, yeah, that's right.
just making up baby gibberish.
Making up baby gibberish, but it has to kind of sound like what you're trying to say without, like the audience has to kind of understand what it is that you're saying without like understanding what you're saying. And go. Good luck.
What are your thoughts on like Yuki Nagato or Tsukasa Hiiragi as characters? Like, what do you think of them?
Well, Tsukasa, I loved playing because she was very airheaded and silly. And I always say characters like that, like, I don't want to call her stupid, because she's not stupid, she's maybe a little naive. You have to be, I feel like as an actor, you have to be smart in order to play dumb. Like, you can't play dumb and be dumb, because you have to make choices. So, like, if you're making any character that you're playing, you have to make smart choices. So that's how I feel about Tsukasa. Like, even though she was almost, it was almost like cathartic for me to play her because she was so much fun. Like, I didn't have to think about it too much, and it would make me laugh. Like, I would just laugh, like some of the stuff that she would come up with. And then Yuki, I just love Yuki. I mean, that was one of the harder characters to play just because, like, her monologues of, like, really monotone dialogue, it comes from a very specific place in your diaphragm. So again, it would be like, okay, I've got to get through this entire paragraph with no breaths, you know, with all of the technical jargon that she used to spew. So it was always a challenge for me playing her, but I did love her a lot. I wished we had more of Haruhi.
Yeah.
It would be fun, right? It was just like silly fun. Haruhi and Lucky Star, like just goofiness.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have a favorite, like, I don't know what I'd call it, like a genre or a trope that you like to voice in the most, like something that's scary, or like a slice of life, or like a more action-packed show or video game?
That's a good question. I mean, I love my sniper girls. I love my Sinan and my Yoko, and I love my Fujiko, you know, and my Rukia. Like the strong female sort of archetype is very appealing to me. And I do love that. Even though there's vulnerability in all of them, like I think in order to be likable, you have to be vulnerable as a character. And I think all of those women possess that vulnerability, you know, which I love to play, that duality, you know.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If you had to pick a voice from a character that you'd have to use for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Oh my God. That's a good question. Well, so here's the thing. I think that I sound a lot like what Rukia would sound like in real life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, like if you were to flip it.
Yeah.
Actually, when I auditioned for her, I was told that one of the reasons why I got the part was because I sounded a lot like the Japanese actress.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then there's Luna, who I found out after, like a couple of years after we started recording Sailor Moon, that the creator, Naoko, she hand chose the cast off of our slates. So that means she didn't listen to our auditions. She pushed play. She heard, "Hi, this is Michelle Ruff as Luna." And she said, "Her, Luna." She heard Stephanie Shea's slate for Sailor Moon. Her, Sailor Moon. Her, Venus, Venus, Jupiter. So I have to think that Luna, even though she's sometimes a little higher pitched than my normal voice, I could probably go through life as Luna.
Okay. So Rukia.
Luna or Rukia.
Okay.
Luna, Rukia. Rukia, Una.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Give a big round of applause to Michelle Ruff.